Day wonders if he had potential, even though he is just a talentless D rank without a single exclusive skill. It seemed impossible that he would suddenly develop potential just because Leon thought so, but Day felt like he could do it this time. As the enemy attacked, Day used his shield for defense and successfully blocked the attack. However, the enemy punched Day, knocking him down. Leon wonders why Day wasn't able to see everything clearly and realizes that Day still has a long way to go. The scene shifts to an office cabin where Leon is sitting with Kang. Leon says that from the beginning, there was no way a warrior like Kang would be just a mercenary. Kang replies that he used a bewitching mask to disguise both his face and body, but admits it was pointless. Then Kang asks if Ekin participated in the evaluation and if he got what he wanted out of it. Leon replies that he now has a soldier candidate, and there is no need to be so anxious as he does not intend to go overseas. Kang stated that Leon already knew what he was thinking about and guessed that he was a bit nervous because the power Leon displayed was so incredible. He was impressed as well. It might have been a D-rank dungeons monster, but it was at least a C-rank boss, and Leon treated it as if it were a mere toy. Leon replied that something like that wasn't even worth being a toy. Kang said that if Leon wished to start a guild, he would help him, and he was sure that Leon was aware of this. He added that nothing was better than fame when trying to establish an organization of people, and there weren't many ways to become famous those days. He mentioned a gate that turned red in Cheongju due to a failed raid for a year. No one had been able to clear it, destroy it, or obtain the jewel of wisdom guarded by the boss of the Red Gate, Jad Spinner. The scene shifts to the time when the Cheongju Sports Complex gate was raided for the first time by the KPP Guild. As they enter, a man said to Hyun that it was A. Just then, Hyun stopped and said that he knew it was a modern civilization, more developed than Earth. A girl commented that it was so cool, a gate to future world. She added that there were fantasy and Miriam worlds, so why not something futuristic? Another man remarked that it looked more cyberpunk. Hyun said that it was a challenge and they needed to revise their plans, starting with the organization of the party. The other man agreed, noting that they had arranged the party thinking they would fight a few strong opponents. Hyun suggested they use the building over there as their base camp since it was high up and would provide a good view of everything. As they entered the building, Hyun asked Hoi if he could see anything. Hoi replied that there was nothing, no NPCs or monsters. Hyun asked about Jad Spinner, saying they were supposed to be the boss. Hoi replied that he didn't see it either. Hyun found it strange and thought it odd that such a large city didn't have any people or monsters. He guessed that it might be a good thing since they weren't facing a resistance army or an evil authoritarian force. Then Hyun addressed the KPPP guild members, telling them to pay attention. He reminded them that they had entered the gate but still lacked information about Jad Spinner. He instructed them to keep a lookout on the surrounding area and said they would select an expedition team to map the area. Just as he said that, a beam attacked and killed him. Hoi, standing at some distance from Hyun, shouted that they were being attacked and told everyone to find cover. They were attacked several more times. Hoi thought it was bad even though Hyun was a rank tanker. He couldn't react in time, so the monsters here must be incredibly powerful. He told everyone that at this rate, they would all die and asked if anyone had located the enemy. A girl said that at 3 o'clock she could gauge the distance because of the dust. She then mentioned that the building wouldn't hold out much longer. Hoi told everyone to fall back in an orderly manner and hurry outside because the building was going to collapse. While running, the girl asked about Hyun's corpse. Hoi replied that something was strange and they would come back for it after recuperating. Then he asked Hyeri to scout ahead and check the exit. She rushed ahead, agreed, and upon checking, said she wasn't able to sense anyone there and that the exit might be safe. But just as she called outside, she felt a wire hit her neck, and suddenly her head was cut off. Realizing there were wires, Hoi told everyone they had to get out of there. He took his sword and slashed, instructing the others to imbue their weapons with mana to cut the wires since they weren't normal ones. He wondered if there was really only one enemy and how long they had been watching them. From the top of a building, a robot locked onto them as a target and attacked Hoi. One of Hoi's hands was cut off in the attack, and he demanded that the enemy come forward. Then the robot came forward, and Hoi asked if it was the Jagdi's spinner. The robot replied by asking what he thought and said that even if it were out of ammo, it could still fight. Hoi, angered that the robot had killed his comrades, was then killed by the robot as well. The robot declared it had to protect the city, noting that no survivors had returned from the first raid, and the second and third raid teams were finished in the same manner. Consequently, the gate boss Jagd Spinner's clear difficulty was promoted to red, and raiding of that gate was paused. Later, another party arrived. As they hammered the ground, a man remarked that the weather was just like he saw in the video. A lady suggested they avoid entering the city, as the likelihood of encountering Jagd Spinner increased the deeper they went into the gate. The leader agreed, stating that as they had all concurred, they would be the ones to take the Jewel of Wisdom and the rest of the rewards, with the 60 billion being their guild's share. The Cheongju Sports Complex gate was entered by one of Korea's top 10 guilds, Golden Lion. The guild master was Guillaume, and the vice guild master was Jan. They were accompanied by 47 other members, the Magic Tower Guild, and 48 mercenaries. Leon was also there with Hari. Hari served tea to Leon and asked him to try it. As Leon tasted it, he said it wasn't bad and asked what the tea was called. She replied that it was barley tea. They made their base camp, and Leon asked Hari what was wrong. She replied that she was worried about things going smoothly, but at the same time, they weren't going smoothly. She admitted that, honestly, she thought the best possible scenario would be if things went well without Leon having to step in, but then he wouldn't get the chance to gain fame. He said that it was the best thing that could happen if the King of the Lion Heart didn't have to step in himself. It meant the situation wasn't bad. He then asked what she thought the duty of a king was in her kingdom. She replied that it would be to rule. She added that it was a given, but anyone could take on that role, and unless the person was overly prideful, she assumed most kings would act similarly. Then Hari said that Leon was like the King of Knights. She realized that he stepped in each time an attack wasn't going to be blocked. She remarked that this was the city of the King of the Lion Heart. Leon responded that the Lady Fortress understood that the fact the King of the Lion Heart had to step in was a shame to the knights, which showed how serious the situation was. And coincidentally, it seemed like he would have to step in again in place of those weaklings. Hari told him that the raid team had the S-rank Guillaume and a mage, so she thought it would be fine. Leon asked if she said they were called hunters, acknowledging that they were rather strong for ordinary humans, but they wouldn't understand war. The outskirts of the city were safe. They all seemed confident about their information despite having only encountered the enemy 3 times. They called themselves a raid team, analyzing the patterns of the monsters and responding accordingly, which Leon found comical. Hari told him that a good general knows how to respond to the situation, and that there was no fixed pattern. Just as she was about to share more, a blast occurred, and she said that Jagd Spinner was a talented warlord. The robot reminisced about the past where a lady said she was going to end, and asked it to do a favor to remove all the unidentified beings who invaded the city. Just as all the raiders saw Jagd Spinner at the top of a building, it began attacking them. The humans took defensive positions, but Jagd Spinner descended to the ground and killed some of them. Some wondered what kind of monster it was. The robot reported that around 23% of the unidentified beings were killed by commencing fire for effect, while 48% were eliminated by charging energy. The man wielding the hammer jumped near Jagd Spinner and struck it with his hammer. The robot detected damage to the main joint region and increased internal pressure, prioritizing the removal of the unidentified being. The man told Guillaume that it was too late until her metal could. Guillaume retorted that she had told him not to call her Guillaume and then attacked Jagd Spinner, causing it to collapse to the floor. Just then a man with white hair took something from Jagd Spinner. The robot's activity overloaded, triggering an emergency purge, and its radar system went down. It was permitted to use restricted resources and activate RWR equipment inside the city, substituting the target. The risk priority of level 3 was removed. Just then, the robot jumped and began to move away from the scene. Everyone started chasing after it, trying to stop it. Gil said that he would activate the distortion force field, so they should gather around. As the robot prepared to attack, a shield formed over the raiders. A man noticed that the bullets' trajectories were being curved. Gil explained that it was a magic tool created to fight Jagdeed Spinner and that it was a shame he had to use it so early. The robot detected the abnormal phenomenon and began a maintenance operation, completing its analysis. Then it fired, and its attack penetrated the shield, hitting one man. Gil thought it was impossible. He had already calculated the angles at which the bullets would swerve, so what was happening? Another person wondered what was happening, and then he told Gil to turn off the distortion force shield because it was too hard to predict the direction of the bullets. Gil announced that he was turning it off, instructing everyone to charge as soon as the force field was down. Counting to 1, he deactivated the shield. Then he realized something and stopped them, saying that there were wires around them. Hi guys, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy the content.